This is one of the most pivotal times in the history of the world, and unfortunately right now, many countries are more divided than ever, and no more is that evident than in the United States right now, where we have a ton of division. Every single person you talk to likely has an extremely different opinion than the next, and oftentimes those conflict each other in such intense ways that it's hard to even find middle ground. And so that's why I think it's important that we talk about these things and try to find solutions that actually bring people together and make the world better. Should Elon Musk bring Donald Trump back to Twitter? This is something I tweeted out 2 hours ago, and obviously everyone wants to know the answer to this because my tweet is already up to 18.8 thousand likes in only that 2-hour period. One of the most viral tweets I've ever had in only 2 hours, which just shows that everyone wants to know the answer to this. Everyone wants to know, will Donald Trump be elected in 2024? Is there a better candidate in place? Will the Democrats be able to beat him? What's going to happen next? With all of this stuff, it's perhaps the most intense time in political history, and right now we get to watch it and cover it, and I'm going to do my best to walk through all of this stuff and figure out the answers that you desire. As of course, we continue to do this in the best way that we possibly can. So I'll go ahead and turn on the camera as well right now so you can see me, but I just wanted to go ahead and do that intro first without the camera. There we go, there I am. There's Matt Wallace. Right now, if you look at what's happening with Dogecoin, you can see we're at a point where a lot of people are trying to produce a spike. We're somewhat evened out after a pretty big fall from that major spike caused by Elon Musk. And at this point, it does seem to be forming an upward triangle pattern here to where we could see a nice size breakout. So we're definitely going to look for that. But to get back to the politics and everything like that, first we'll talk about this. We just hit 200 million tweet impressions, which is truly incredible. So thank you to everyone who's been helping with that. We've now had 355,000 people mention at Matt Wallace 88 on Twitter in just the last 28 days. A lot of that just happened in the last week or so. So it's insane. I mean, my gosh, Elon Musk, this is the top mention so far, where Elon Musk said, yeah, he's invested in Tesla, when I was making a funny comment about Jeff Bezos investing his net worth into sustainable energy and into making politics less divisive. Well, I said, just give it all to Elon Musk then. How about that? Elon Musk clearly liked that joke there, but I'm going to talk about this now. Who do I think should be elected for both the Republicans and Democrats? I'll go ahead and get into my answers here. And there's a chance you'll disagree with me, and that's okay if you do. I'm just going to go through some of the stats and the information, and you can make your own decision based off of the stuff I'm showing you today. So Eric Adams, this guy is someone who's been very, very, very much pro cryptocurrency. He's shown over and over and over again a willingness to actually work hard and try his best to implement good things for New York. He's currently the mayor there. He's a Democrat, and in my opinion, if you're a Democrat, you should be heavily looking at this guy as your nominee. You really should. If you're a Republican, that starts to get even more debatable because there's really two names that come up, and those two names are Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. Now, the division being caused in the Republican Party right now is largely as a result of that. So who should be elected between the two of them? Well, let's first take a look at this. So we have definitely a battle that's been going on between Donald Trump and Elon Musk to some degree. So Tesla owner Silicon Valley asked, who are you leaning towards in terms of the next president of the United States or the next nominee for the Republicans? And Elon Musk said DeSantis. Then, if we scroll down more, we can see Trump called him out. Trump flipped on Elon Musk, allegedly. I mean, flipped because we don't know if he actually liked him before, but Trump basically called out Elon Musk, called him a BS artist, and so they got into quite a spat here. And that was really one of the points where I think a lot of people were surprised that this was happening, because you wouldn't expect that between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Elon Musk typically stays out of politics. Then Elon Musk says this: I don't hate the man, but it's time for Trump to hang up his hat and sail on into the sunset. Dems should also call off the attack. Don't make it so that Trump's only way to survive is to regain the presidency. Trump would be 82 at the end of the term, which is too old to be chief executive of anything, let alone the United States of America. If DeSantis runs against Biden in 2024, then DeSantis will easily win. He doesn't even need to campaign. So there we go. That's Elon Musk's opinion on it. And when we dive deeper into this, I think there are some valid points in there. Now, personally, I don't necessarily care which party is elected. I just want to see someone who does the following two things: makes the economy run in a responsible way that doesn't cause massive inflation, and also on top of that is able to bring foreign policy to a level where the United States is really the forefront of a lot of things that are happening on the global scale, and where the dollar does have strength, but maybe not so much so that it blocks out cryptocurrency, because I think cryptocurrency really has a path to completely and totally eclipse fiat currency in the future. And that's what I want to see happen. But if we take a look at this, so Trump does have this quote: "I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air." He tweeted that back in 2019. And then he also gave an interview more recently where he suggested that cryptocurrency, once again, was not something he was ever going to support in any way, and rather he's more pushing for fiat and for the dollar specifically to be relevant on a global scale. I think this comes as a result of Donald Trump not understanding cryptocurrency, and because of that, it could be dangerous to cryptocurrency if Donald Trump is elected president again. And so I will say to anyone who's a Republican and trying to decide, do you want Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump, this could certainly be an important factor in that decision. And I think a lot of people may want someone younger, because Ron DeSantis has shown interest in helping cryptocurrency. Same with Mayor Eric Adams, both of them younger men who have shown a lot of work ethic and who have a relatively high popularity rating. And so because of that, it does seem like in a time when there's so much emotional division, it may be good to go with two guys as the nominees who are less emotional and who are also both pro-cryptocurrency. So I will say that I do think at this point, we're looking at those two as the most likely nominees. Trump made his big announcement today. There was a combination of hate and love on Twitter, and I'm trying to cover this as unbiasedly as I can, because I really want to just make sure the facts and information is what we go off of here, the policies rather than the personalities. If we can make sure to all do that as a country, I think we'll be way better off. And so when we compare what has happened with Donald Trump and what has happened with Joe Biden, we do see some big spending on both accounts. We're talking about going over the budget by a deficit of more than $1 trillion in each case. And even with what we're seeing right now with Joe Biden, he's gone $2 trillion over on a consistent basis, which is pretty dang irresponsible when you're trying to stop inflation from going out of control. So I do not think that on an economic level was the right move. Now, if you like Joe Biden for other reasons, go ahead, you can do your thing with that. But I will say what is most important to me is that the federal government is handling the economy right, because I think that's really one of the main issues and perhaps the only primary issue that the federal government is responsible for. Local level governments and state level governments can be responsible for a lot of the other stuff, and that typically would be the least divisive and best way for a country to run if it is that structure. Now, I know not everyone's going to agree with that, but that's most likely the truth in terms of how it goes. Now, I will also say this. I do want to give a shout out as well to Order of Egonauts. Order of Egonauts right now is continuing to build out something pretty dang cool. Now, if you take a look at this, you can see they actually have built out one of the best clubs, I would argue, in all of cryptocurrency NFTs. So you go from the very beginning of NFTs and you see a lot of crazy projects. They're trying to get attention. Some of them have been very successful. Some of them have not. But typically the ones that do the best, the ones that really gravitate and stick and have long-term lasting value, are the ones that actually provide use case. And so I'll go ahead and go deeper into this. So if we see exactly what they're doing here, that's where the excitement comes from, in my opinion. So you can take a look at this. I'll go ahead and move it on to the screen. So right now, they are currently working on building this facility. They've already gotten approval to build it. They've already started the investment, and they're starting to build ground on it. So these are the plans for it. It's basically going to be a state-of-the-art crypto facility, and by owning one of the NFTs, then you get access to it. Now, I do want to also say thank you very much to Chris, who is the main guy behind Order of Egonauts, because he has helped me massively with a few of the projects I'm working on. And so that's part of the reason why I'm so happy to help him with his project. And I certainly hope it does well. But they're building this facility. They're going to invite me to come speak at it. They're going to invite other crypto influencers. And by owning one of these 1,200, a little over 1,200 NFTs, then you get access to this. Now, it is a relatively expensive membership to some degree, but not so much if you're planning to use it for the long haul. It costs 1 Ethereum. They're actually launching tomorrow with a Dogecoin based version, which I think is pretty dang cool. And they're including me in it. So once again, I really think that's awesome. If you can see, so this is Order of Egonauts. You can see this is one of the main banners that they use and one of the main pictures. But if we scroll down here, we can actually see the announcement coming here, where you can sign up and be part of it. So you can see this is they put me in this one, which I happen to like a lot, and of course the Dogecoin dog with all the muscles. So this project I think is really awesome. I'm excited to go speak for them. I'm excited to check out the facility when it's up and have fun exploring it. And they're also building out housing and stuff. or not necessarily housing, but they're building out places to stay within the facility. A lot of awesome stuff happening here, and I hope they're very, 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 very successful with it. But there's already over 200 people that are part of the club, and so they're trying to expand that more, and they wanted me to talk about it. Happy to do so, and I can't wait to speak there, like I said. But back to the main topic of the video. So we're going to talk about this. Elon Musk seems to be very, very, very much on the train of DeSantis, and that's in part because Donald Trump did call him out directly. And so at this point, I think it's a very, very, very tough debate for the Republican side as to who you want to elect, because there's so many people who feel so emotionally in one way or the other. That said, I do think specifically when it comes to crypto, you'd want someone younger like DeSantis. I think if you're looking for someone who's going to be more like, if you are a Republican and you just really, really, really want to see all the social issues of that Republicans typically stand for be implemented, then maybe you'll be more likely to go for Trump. So I could honestly see it going either way if you're a Republican. Now, personally, I'm an independent. I know I say that a lot. I actually am. I sometimes call Republicans, I sometimes call Democrats, and I've been doing a lot more calling out than praising lately because we've had a lot of politicians who've been making massive mistakes on especially an economic level. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about Eric Adams as well. Across the board, cuts will save NYC taxpayers $2.5 billion. Help city ride out possible recession, says Mayor Adams. Also, by the way, for Egonauts, I'm going to put a link down in the description and pinned comment. So if you want to check it out, if you're interested, you can go and do so and have fun with that. Once again, they are launching tomorrow with the Dogecoin collection of it. If you do get one of the Matt Wallace Dogecoin NFTs, then you also get access to special perks, and you could potentially come and meet me. I'm going to be doing something cool with that if you want to, and maybe you do. And across the board, cuts will save NYC taxpayers. We can go for dinner. We can have some fun. 2.5 billion on me, of course, with Dogecoin. We'll tip in Dogecoin at the very least. I actually already know a few places where we can go and tip in Dogecoin. But he's going to be implementing policies like this. He's already doing it. He's actually helping to move New York's economy forward. He's doing things that are much more open-minded than I've seen from a lot of Democrats on the national scale who are getting national attention. And importantly, this is the main reason I became a fan of him. He's actually pro-cryptocurrency. He's taken his first check in cryptocurrency. He's continuing to try to make New York City a hub for cryptocurrency. And so as the mayor, I think there's absolutely a good chance that he'll actually make New York better. And so as a result, I think if you're a Democrat and you elect this guy, you'd be very well off in terms of your chances in a midterm election, or not a midterm election, in a presidential election. The midterm election's on our mind, right? So there we go. Those are my two people who I think would most likely be the best choices. Tell me, am I wrong? Am I right? What do you think about it? I would love to know your thoughts on it. And I'm going to read a couple of the comments here. We'll see. I didn't want to read any of them while I was saying all that stuff because, of course, everyone's going to disagree with me. I'd rather just get my opinion out there and then read the comments. So I'll go ahead and read them now. So we have some people saying Trump 2024. We have some people saying F Trump, DeSantis instead. DeSantis 2024, F Trump says enjoying Earth. So a lot of mixed opinions on this. A lot of people, I mean, I figured it would be very controversial. There's one guy in the chat who seems to be very, 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 very pro-DeSantis and very anti-Trump. And there's also some people who seem to be very pro-Trump and anti-DeSantis. So, I mean, I imagine if you're pro-Trump, you're also going to have somewhat of a liking towards DeSantis and vice versa. So we'll see. It's hard to tell right now who's going to be the winner. Being a former president helps you a lot in any election. It just does. And so that's why Joe Biden has a massive advantage in terms of publicity, and so does Donald Trump. And so there's a decent chance we could see Donald Trump versus Joe Biden in 2024, at which point there would be a lot of different question marks that we have as to what each of those guys would do if they gain another term in office. And at the very end of the day, I do think both of them, regardless of who would win at that point, would very much need to change some of their things that they're doing. Both of them would need to be better about spending. And you can argue that what happened with the whole world situation, right, definitely played a role in them spending too much. So with that being coming to an end to some degree, with the cases being way down, there's much more room to actually be responsible financially. And so those need to be the main priorities. Changing the economy, putting it in a better direction. And so whoever wins, if it is Trump or Biden, they both need to change massively. They both need to be more pro-cryptocurrency, and they both need to make some big improvements along the way. That's why I think so many people do not want either Biden or Trump, because rather than asking them to make improvements, they want to elect someone who they already believe will allow those improvements to come through without having to change their previous policy. So I definitely get the arguments all around. I have to say that we did a good job, right? We did a good job not being biased there, giving the actual facts and information of why it's good. And keep in mind, Eric Adams, he may not even run for president. We don't know that for sure, but I believe he's going to, based on the indications I've seen. And so my ideal scenario that I would like to see is Ron DeSantis versus Eric Adams in the general election. That said, you already heard all my other opinions, and I don't feel necessarily insanely attached to anyone. If that is not the case, then we'll go from there and we'll make decisions based off of that, and we'll decide what to do that's best for the country in terms of trying to shape whoever does become president into being a better version of themselves. Because everyone can change, everyone can get better, and that's what we want to happen, obviously, with anyone who's in office right now. Does Elon... So someone said... So I have a good relationship with Elon Musk on Twitter, and I think he's doing awesome things, and I continue to support him. I've supported him since before I was an influencer. I'm not going to stop doing that, and we're going to work on a lot of awesome stuff. There's no doubt about it. And LOL, that would be messed up, says Nelson Mendez. What will be messed up? Who cares? It is 2 years out still, says Watch Chand Wait. Yeah, there's definitely some truth to that. I mean, we're maybe talking about it a little early. The reason why is because a lot of people are talking about it right now on social media, and the reason for that is because Donald Trump just announced he's going to be running for president again. And so as a result of that, we're looking into this, and we're trying to figure out if Donald Trump's the best candidate, or if perhaps there could be someone else who would be significantly better. And so that's kind of where we're at right now in terms of why I'm talking about it and why it even matters. Also, we can take a look real quick at this. So we have poll numbers for both Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. Governor Ron DeSantis, one of the most popular governors in America, according to a poll here. Among Republicans, he has approximately 85% approval rating. With Donald Trump, he's also relatively popular amongst Republicans. So his popularity has declined some over the last few years. So in December of 2016, he had approximately a 73% approval rating in terms of warm or very warm, 11% neutral, 7% cold, 8% very cold. So the people in the Republican Party who definitely are not a fan of him, so that number has gone up to 15%. In the Republican Party who are very cold on him, it has steadily climbed throughout the last few years. So that could be an indication that Republicans are going to move on from Trump and go with someone else. It also could be an indication that, it also could not be an indication of that. We don't know for sure what's going to happen as a result of this. But you can see, so very warm, 41% is currently very warm on him as compared to 51% here in 2020 when we saw Joe Biden elected. That was one of the years when Donald Trump actually ended up having a much higher approval rating, but the people who hated him had also gone up some. So he's definitely divisive. There's no doubt about that, even amongst Republicans currently. Now, there are currently approximately 22% or 24% rather of Republicans who are either very cold or cold, 14% neutral, and then currently still the majority at around 60% do see Donald Trump in a warm light, with 41% saying very warm and 19% saying warm. So these polls obviously could be an indication. There's also been some polls about Trump versus DeSantis, and right now they seem to be actually relatively close. DeSantis in most polls is around 30. Trump is around 40 something based on the previous most recent ones I've seen. And so we'll see if that changes because we're going to be watching that closely. We want to know who's going to win and who's going to lose. In terms of the Democrats, pretty much every poll has Joe Biden way ahead of everyone else. Joe Biden's way ahead of Kamala Harris. Joe Biden's way ahead of pretty much everyone else that's been put in the poll. I have not seen a poll yet with Eric Adams. If Eric Adams does start to become a national figure, I think there's a pretty strong chance Democrats could end up picking him, and I hope they do. I think that would be good for the Democrat Party if they can shift more to a younger type of energy, if they can shift more to a pro-cryptocurrency, pro-technology type of energy, where there's also a little bit of bipartisanship within what he's doing. He is, putting tax cuts in place that actually do help people, and so he's doing some bipartisan things. I think that's a very positive thing if you're a Democrat that you want representing you want on the top of the ticket. Joe Biden is definitely not the best representation of what Democrats are capable of being. They're capable of being much better than they are now. That's undeniably true. And so look at this. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You can see Matt Wallace in an NFT. I happen to think that's awesome, and they did a good job with the art on that. I like the way it looks, but obviously this would be a pretty cool place to actually do some of the speeches. There's other places within the facility that you'll be able to do that, but I want to be staying right there and giving a fun speech. And you can see here, we also have perhaps one of the biggest news stories in the last month or so coming to a dramatic increase in the drama here, a dramatic increase in drama. Wow, excellent phrase there. But you can see Sam Bankman-Fried now under constant observation by Bahama authorities, but he's in a luxury hotel. Just imagine that. You just stole billions of dollars and you get to lay around in a luxury hotel. Sounds pretty dang nice, Sam Bankman-Fried. If one of us did that, we would not be in a luxury hotel. We would be behind bars. But FTX accounts drainer stops millions in stolen crypto, becomes 35th largest Ethereum holder. So this one is probably one of the craziest things we've seen in a while. Now they're swapping the tokens they have stolen essentially from FTX, and they're swapping it for Ethereum. We still don't know who did this. We don't know if it was an inside job or if even Sam Bankman-Fried himself, as many have speculated, is responsible for this. And so as a result of that, this is probably one of the most strange turns we could have seen. So he's actually now propping up Ethereum in a way by using those tokens to buy ETH. At some point, those will inevitably likely be seized and sold, which could cause ETH to go down some, considering he's such a large holder of it. So we'll have to see who exactly is blamed for this, and we'll likely be able to find out who did it. Or it could be she, technically. I mean, it's unlikely, considering the fact that pretty much every single story I've ever seen of a crypto thief has been a guy, with a couple of rare exceptions. So just based on that, we're most likely talking about a guy here. But if it's a girl, then I'll retract that. It could be. We don't know. I mean, for example, it could be Caroline, who's been seen many times as Sam Bankman-Fried's right-hand woman. So that's a possibility on the table. That said, I don't think she is the type of person. To be honest, she didn't seem very smart. So I don't think she would be the type of person who would be able to orchestrate something like that. And especially if she did, she wouldn't be able to get away with it. But still, it's a possibility. We don't know. Maybe she's smarter than we think. New York Times runs bizarre softball article on FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried. This one was perhaps one of the silliest things I've seen in a while. Even Elon Musk called it out. But Sam Bankman-Fried is getting the soft glove treatment from the New York Times. That tells you everything you need to know about the New York Times. Perhaps the least trustworthy news source out there. They're constantly attacking Elon Musk. They're constantly making stories like this. It's all puff pieces. I don't like them at all. I certainly hope they go away. Anyway, and I hope Sam Bankman-Fried does have to serve the consequences for what he did here, because he shouldn't have done that. I'm Matt Wallace. This is Final Stand, obviously, and I'll see you in the next video.